now tuned into DAR Sports Media. We are back and better than ever with a new World of Wrestling, World of Combat. It's been a big couple of weeks in the world of wrestling, so we had to come to you with a couple of reviews of all this stuff narrowing on down to the end of the year in the world of wrestling. AEW Full Gear, as we record this, likely when it's posted, just last night was WWE Survivor Series War Games. 2 back-to-back solid pay-per-views. I think there was some valid concerns about Full Gear, although I am, we're obviously very happy about a couple of results here on the show. And I will say that a part of, been watching this stuff for 35 years, age check. And so at this point in life, when some guys can get me to buy in, to when some guys can get me to believe it, I'm really impressed by that. And all logic told me that obviously Orange Cassidy's not winning this belt because they just started off the big monster run for the Death Riders and Mox, and they had me for a little bit there at the end, like allowed me to abandon all sense I had in my head that was going to be, that maybe we were going to do a change. And also because, being that it's, and I know this is not really the way it's gone, but being that it's an AEW, it's a different brand. It's supposed to be an alternative. There's a million ways to tell that story. Who the hell knows? Maybe they give, maybe they do go a different route and Orange Cassidy has a shock win and Mox gets it back from her, whatever. Like there's always that little bit of an opening over there on that side. They basically never utilize it, but it's always there. So that was part of it as well. I think part of the issue that Full Gear suffered from, first, another thing right up front we got to do say, I predicted it. I was talking about it the day of the show. I said Chris Statlander, Mercedes Moné thing is going to be the match of the night. And man, that match was fucking fantastic. I lived up to every fucking bit of, I did. I wanted a little bit more of Mercedes is such a good fucking heel, especially in the ring, as far as like feeding comebacks and feeding power moves and like bumping all over the place, man. We got end of year episode coming up real soon. I don't think it's going to really be possible to touch Swerve since he's been, in 2 all-time classics this year alone, as far as Wrestler of the Year. But one of the most consistent has been Mercedes, man, since she's come over. Yeah, the non-wrestling segments have been what they are, but man, she every match is fucking killer, and that continued on Saturday. And
except the Britt Baker match.
That's you gotta throw out the outliers, right? Who
she
ain't a goddamn magician. She ain't a witch. So, but probably, right up there, top 3 most consistent performers of the entire year in the ring. Another great one. Stat is finally becoming what we all thought she was becoming some years ago when everything happened, when everything started before all the injuries. She was fantastic in that match as well. Damn fine match. I think part of what Full Gear suffered from, it ain't so much. There's a ton. Well, it's always a dice roll that AEW has so many matches on their pay-per-views. The thing about Full Gear was like some of it just became so redundant. So many people, it was all one-on-one matches besides the opener. Like no gimmicks thrown in, no triple threats, no tags, you gotta throw something in to break it up, for one, and for two, just so many people worked similar styles that it just got monotonous. You get Takeshita and Ricochet out there. Everybody said it was a bad match. I didn't think it really was a bad match. I just thought that at that point, we'd all already seen the backflips clothesline sell 50 fucking times. We'd all already seen people get suplexed on the apron 50 fucking times. We'd all already seen people get German suplexed 50 fucking times. Like you got to break up some of the styles. You got to break up the match types. I think that's really where it suffered. I don't know if anything was necessarily bad. I just think people lost interest because of redundancy throughout the night. And the last thing I'll say is Shout out to our guy, fucking DG. Finally,
Yes, sir.
damn fine match between those two guys. Finally, they put up one of the big belts on him. I do got some issues with the choices that are being made already this week, because how the hell do you finally belt up Daniel Garcia with what is supposed to be at one point in time the equivalent, close to the equivalent of your world title, and he's not on fucking Dynamite? What are you doing? Same thing with Private Party. Those guys are day one. We've been waiting since day one for those guys to get belted up.
Yep.
And they finally do. And they're not on fucking Dynamite. Why? But shout out, man. Great match. Happy about it. What are your thoughts? Full Gear, the weekend wrestling for AEW post Full Gear.
In terms of AEW post Full Gear, I watched Dynamite. I thought it was
dog shit.
Yeah, thought it was a interesting show. I don't know. I'm not.
You're coming fresh off, finally belting up Private Party, finally belting up Daniel Garcia, some hot stuff in that, and it's just nowhere to be fucking found.
If I'm being honest,
what is to be found is a goddamn 7-segment shit ass match between Chris Jericho and Ishii, both of which I could go without ever fucking seeing on my TV ever again. Why are we still doing this?
I tuned out during the Jericho match. I started watching basketball when that happened, but turned to ESPN and started watching that. But I think my issue with AEW is the Daniel Garcia and Private Party runs. To me, I don't want them to turn into, and I don't like to use the word charity in this case, but I don't want to turn into a charity thing where they're pretty much just doing this or doing that too, because people have been like complaining and asking for them to do this or do that. So I don't want that to be the case. I don't want it to turn into like, hey, see, Private Party had the belts for 2 months. See, we did what we said we were going to do, and then they dropped the belts to like FTR or somebody else, and we just kind of go back in that same vortex. Or Daniel drops the belt in like a month or two to somebody in the Death Riders circle, and then it just doesn't further anything. Which, like I said, I mean, that seems like a possibility, because what is the long-term plan that they have for both Private Party and Daniel Garcia? It's just, hey, people want to see them, so let's give them what they want, but we're not going to book them as strongly. Yeah.
It's been an issue for the entire fucking existence of AEW. It's like, let's give the people what they want, but it doesn't.
And it never follow up on it.
Here, I got two from. I already got it figured out. AEW, all you got to do. Never mind. I was about to say something about payments. I already got it figured out.
Yeah, they not. Yeah, they don't follow up with that for sure.
FTR should come out and say, "Cool, you beat the Bucks, but you've never beat us for the belts." That's the angle they should set up for World's End. Right? Legendary tag team. It's the last mountain for fucking Private Party to climb. Really put them over. FTR is fucking excellent at shining people up and making them look awesome. They know how to do it. Bam. Easy. It should be, and the other one should be Death Riders trying to get to consolidate all the big belts. It should be either Pac or Claudio going after Daniel Garcia right off the bat, right off the next show. Those two matches should be, those angles should be getting set in motion for World's End right now. That should be your two angles going on. There are two major angles other than Death Riders going on outside of the Continental Classic is Claudio or Pac going after Daniel Garcia at the pay-per-view, FTR challenging Private Party for the belts at the pay-per-view. Easy.
And they should put them over as well, I think.
Yes. 100%.
Because the scary part of AEW is that you'll see this and be like, oh, that's great, and then you'll get to World's End and they'll both lose their belts, and then it's and it'll be like, oh well, or there'll be some like dumb finish to where it doesn't make them look strong enough going forward, because you have to make these guys look strong. They're supposed to be three of the people that are going to go against the Death Riders, who are being positioned as this unstoppable force. and they need to be legitimized because prior to this, Private Party was what? They were like a tag team that didn't get really any wins or do anything, and they've been slightly built up over the last few months. And then Daniel Garcia lost. He was always having these great performances, but not winning anything. So now that he's won something and he's been built up a little bit, I think the biggest issue is that the Elite storyline, which is basically what, Daniel Garcia and Private Party pretty much ended the Elite storyline. It just fizzled out. There's no big like, oh yeah, man, like they took down the Elite. It's just like it fizzled out. Like they beat the Bucks. The Bucks ran and took their ball and went home. Took their ball and went to New Japan because they're on Wrestle Dynasty. But they're not on AEW TV right now because they're going to come back as conquering heroes and save everyone from the Death Riders. That's what it's looking like. And so Jack Perry, Jack Perry really was not doing anything with that TNT title. So that's I guess it's neither here nor there. But yeah. So I don't feel like AEW knows what they're doing, but I haven't felt that way in a long time anyway. I haven't felt that they knew what they were doing in a long time anyway, and that extends beyond just the in-ring stuff. So I'm kind of not excited for World's End. I'm confused that they're doing Mina and Mariah at Winter is Coming next week as opposed to doing it at World's End. Kind of confused on that, but hey, you give away a match like that on television, I'm okay with it because I get to see it, I get to watch it. So
you used a segment on pay-per-view to set up an angle for a match on a pre-show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes a lot
of. All right. Speaking of, I don't know what they're doing, if they know what they're doing on the inside or on the outside of the ring. A lot of people were making themselves look like fucking assholes all week. We ain't gonna go too much in it because we've already talked about this ad nauseum. If you freeze people's contracts, you are a bitch. That's just it. It was bitch ass when WWE did it. It's bitch ass now. Especially for fucking injury time. That man snapped his arm backwards working for you, and now you're gonna punish him for it later. And then of course the Ricky Starks thing. That's just what's funny is I already had a Ricky Starks rant like loaded up and ready to go, and then this shit happened this week.
There's a few things.
It's bad enough. Yeah, there's a few things. It's bad enough. Okay, let's start off with the mutants. I'm going to start having to fucking individually confront these people who sit there and it's so funny, man, because the AEW No Limit Soldier accounts always cry about bad faith. Even when you have the most valid argument in the world, well, you're making it in bad faith, so I don't have to pay attention to it. Bad faith. And then we'll turn around and say idiotic, empty-headed shit like, well, you guys say you want Tony Khan to act like a boss, but then when he does, you don't like it. Which one is it? People want him to act like a boss, as in managing the personalities in his locker room so that storylines and roster decisions aren't dictated by the mentality of people in a fucking junior high lunchroom. That's why how people want him to act like a boss, not doing underhanded shit that fucks over wrestlers. You clown. That they want him to manage people and make hard decisions so that people can feel confident in investing in the wrestlers on the show and the storylines on the show, and not let personal, petty, personality-based bullshit backstage dictate everything they fucking do. Not do things, old carny shit that fucks over wrestlers. Can anybody tell me what benefit this pays AEW to do this?
Zero.
This ain't Monday Night Wars, bro. Y'all are not number 2 like McDonald's and Burger King. You're number 2 like McDonald's and the taco truck on the fucking corner. It ain't a competition. It's an alternative. So there's no fucking point to this. One of those, Ricky Starks or Penta and Fenix showing up on WWE television in 2 weeks would affect AEW in no way whatsoever. But doing this shit is, you think the boys aren't talking?
Oh,
I can tell you for sure they are. I can assure you that they are. This is making you look bad. Yeah. This is making people not want to come work for you less.
All I want to say is, I enjoy being right, but being the first person to be right is never fun. Because when I told people for years about these people, I'm like, they're not what you think they are. They move exactly the same as these other people do. It's just that they have an image to uphold. When I said this to people 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, I was like, hey, look, I don't think Tony Khan is who people build him up to be. I was like, I just don't think. And I had Jaguar players who were hitting my DMs and telling me like, man, don't trust this dude. People who, were around their organization. I don't really like this dude. And I started telling people like, yo, like maybe these guys aren't exactly who you think they are. And it seems as if when they made new hires and brought in new people, they got even worse. And there's all this thought of people taking kindness for weakness. And I don't think Tony is as kind as people thinks he is. Like, I've had people tell me that, oh, he was kind to you. And I'm like, oh, because he paid me once or something that I was owed already. Like, that's not being kind. That's just doing what you're supposed to do. And even then, that wasn't what it was supposed to be anyway. So when you look at these things and you understand what's happening with this company, their lack of success right now and their lack of ability to get hot again is because they are moving in bad faith, and a lot of people see through it now because they presented themselves as the good guys, the we're not like them. And then you remove a Vince McMahon and you see like Nick Khan is still a shitty person, and Triple H does not have the greatest track record in his history in general. But guess what? Neither does Tony Khan. And when Tony Khan says stuff like, oh, we're the best place for black wrestlers to be and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you're trying to trivialize a lot of things that are important because you have a few people around you that'll pat you on the back, or you got some yes men that might kiss your ass and make you feel like you're comfortable to say these things. It's like, some of the stuff he does, it's just like, bro, like, who do you got around you? Who is advising you? And maybe he's just in over his head a little bit with some of the things he has. But if that's the case, then maybe you shouldn't be in this line of work if you can't handle when it gets a little hot. Because what are you doing? And
speaking of that, like that was the Ricky Starks rant I had loaded before this shit happened this week. It's like, bro, the TV is bleeding viewers. You can't get people to come out to the shows. The crowds are fucking minimal. You have a guy like Ricky Stark. Okay, if he wants to leave, if he has friends, if the writing's on the wall, he's leaving. Okay, then. But he has like a year left. It was like a year. Then use him. He's good on the mic. He's good on the ring. He had a 5-star match last fucking year. Your show is going downhill, losing interest. So use him while you got him. And then if he's going to leave, okay, then he gets beat by some people, and then you take him off TV for 2 months. Hello, the way that I know most AEW fans didn't start watching wrestling before like 2016, but I'm here to look and let you know what I just described is literally the way the wrestling industry has fucking worked since the fucking 50s. A guy's going to go to another territory. Cool. Go make some money. Hope we come back someday. And then you use him to benefit your brand the best that you can. You don't just bench him and pay him to sit there and waste a fucking year of his prime, and while your fucking show also bleeds and he could be helping it. What are you doing? But that goes back to what you say. somebody's in over their head because they're letting petty, hurt fucking feelings fuck with the business of the show. And fuck with him. These guys don't have primes that last forever, and you just burned one. For what reason?
Yep.
Can anybody tell me the fucking reason? How this benefits AEW?
It does not. Pettiness.
People say, "Oh, it sets an example." It sets what example? Sets what?
That's not a place you want to work. That's
the example it's setting. That's the only people work their contracts and they don't resign and then they go somewhere else. That's half the AEW roster. Who opened the show on fucking Wednesday? Bobby Lashley, MVP, and Shelton Benjamin.
And let me just say,
what are we doing?
Let me just say, as it pertains to that, I have no issue with how Bobby Lashley, Shelton, MVP are being presented, but somebody did point out that they probably need to hurry up and put a younger wrestler in this and help them get a rub off of this, because it's been a month now.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say, I understand them establishing them for a few weeks, but like,
we need, because if you're
like literally the next 2 weeks, you need somebody. You need Lee Moriarty. You need Powerhouse Hobbs, maybe both. Like,
if you
I know that I think that on Ring of Honor, Lee and the Judge have been teaming together. Bam, right there. Like, you need to do something like soon.
Because the concern for me is, if you brought Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley is 50 years old. Shelton Benjamin is what, late 40s, early 50s or something like that. MVP is in that same range too. No problem with them coming in and being used in the proper way. But if you're doing this to just be like, WWE didn't get the full benefits of what the Hurt Business is, so we're going to give Bobby Lashley what he wants. Like, the dude's 50. Like, he's going to go out there and have great matches.
Again, you would be letting pettiness fuck with your business.
Like, it's just so stupid, because Bobby Lashley going like, okay, I want to go after Moxley at some point, and Omega when he's back on AEW television. Like, I want to see all those matches. That'll be fun for me to get to see some of those matches, and that's like cool. Yeah. But also, this is a vehicle. You have a vehicle, and you have a very important vehicle that's getting all the spotlight. So you got to do something with it. But once again, the follow-up in AEW is always rough. It's always not good. And so that's my concern. And on the Ricky Starks thing, I think it's unfair. And some of Ricky's close friends have alluded to it on social media, that it used to be a lot easier. Things used to be a lot different. Things used to be normal. And the moment that man got into some hot water because of who his friends are and who he was close to, it's like they're treating him differently because he's friends with Cody, because he's friends with Punk.
Exactly. Who the fuck runs a fucking business that way? Well, we're going to fuck over our own TV show because of who your friends are. Because you're friends with them. You ain't friends with us. What?
Yeah, that is the...
Jesus Christ. Y'all got no shame? Like, no shame. None of you fucking weirdos that keep the nuts in your mouth 24/7. You just have no shame whatsoever.
Nope.
No dignity.
Also,
that's okay with you to undercut the show and to waste a year of a guy's prime because he doesn't have, because you're friends with them and you're not friends with our guys.
Also, I hope people realize Penta is now a free agent. Penta is a free agent. He can sign anywhere he likes. That is something to monitor for this week and the next few weeks. Definitely want to monitor that. If you start seeing vignettes or something different, he's free to go do whatever he wants. I want people to also be clear. I've heard people say Penta, like people are like, oh, Penta can go back to his Lucha Underground roots and how he was then, and people are like, oh, he's not that same guy anymore. Let's be clear. Penta could be something like that. He's had a number of injuries. He's older, obviously. But literally, the Lucha Brothers are known for high flying, and they're known for doing this crazy stuff. It's just that they haven't been featured in so long that you forget what they can do. I remember watching them have a ladder match with the Elite in the Death Triangle, literally
Yes,
like a year
sir.
and some change, some change ago, like whatever. So
It
they
wasn't that
can
long
still,
ago. They were putting on match of the year fucking candidates. But again,
so because they haven't been followed up on, and because you haven't seen them as much, because they're being pettily held, they can go to WWE, and they're not going to work the same exact style. They can go out there. They're not going to have ladder matches and street fights every fucking week. So that allows Penta to go out there and kind of get a little, little more free as a singles competitor. But if you think with the way WWE's audience is currently set up that those Penta masks are not going to fly off the fucking shelves, and that like this is like WWE markets their wrestlers in a good way. So he wants to go there. Ricky Starks can go to NXT and instantly be the new top guy over there. He could go to SmackDown and fit in well. That's why Tony's so concerned about letting these guys go, is because he sees that what he can't do, someone else can do. And he does not like the idea of someone getting wrestlers that he feels are his wrestlers. But that also begs the question: if the Lucha Brothers the day one AEW people, what
then
could
why
have
don't you take
happened?
care of them?
What could have happened that made them want to leave and not want to be there anymore? So that is another thing. But instead of having the internal reflection of what can we do to fix this, it's they're feeling a certain way, and they're feeling like there's an issue with these people are turning on us. You're turning your back on us. You're not with us anymore. Hell no, I'm not with you. If you ain't treating me the way I'm supposed to be treated, I don't want to be with you. And I think that's totally fair for Fenix and Penta to do what they did and want to go. And one last thing on this before we move on. All you fucking AEW fans talking about, well, that's what they get because they were running their mouth and blah blah this and blah blah that.
Man.
Like, let's be clear. On the flip side, Ricochet, it was obvious Ricochet was going to AEW.
Yeah, and it's fine.
WWE said the door is always open for him to come back. Hey, go do your thing. Edge made it painfully obvious to everyone that he was leaving WWE and going to AEW. It was the worst kept secret, because who wouldn't shut the fuck up about where they were going? Edge would not shut up about where he was going. Edge ended up telling people, I've hinted at it on this podcast like months and weeks before it happened. Like, he's literally planning on going to AEW. This was the thing. On Twitter, I was talking about it. He was telling everyone, oh man, I can't wait to be over there. I can't wait to go over there. It'll be so much better. WWE did literally nothing but gave him a final match against, was a Sheamus that he wanted. And they said, hey man, good luck. Come back, come back when it's over. Come back when it's done. WWE has handled these situations with a bit more class than, honestly, the rest of these. And then if people don't want to be there anymore, they've typically not. There's some wrestlers that they didn't give their release to, like the Mustafa Ali situation, as people have brought up in this. And
Brody
that was,
Lee. And it was bullshit at the time. I couldn't believe some of y'all, like I said, are just so fucking shameless. There was people with decent followers trying to act like nobody made noise about that at the time. Like, there wasn't a whole trending hashtag about it.
Yep. And if it's bad, if WWE is bad for doing what they've done in the past, and they were, and they absolutely are. I mean, AEW is no better. And that is the reality of all this. And I don't want to turn this into we rank it on AEW all the time, but it's just when you don't have a lot of positive things to say about somebody, this is what you get. And AEW, for all intents and purposes, is a cold product. Congratulations to them on doing 10,000 for Full Gear. Congrats on doing that. That's great. Congrats on them for getting the Hammerstein Ballroom, which the Hammerstein Ballroom seems to have a domino effect now. On the Ricky Stark situation. So, and let me just say, I'm not a fan of GCW like that. I'm not a fan of Effie at all. Never been a fan of his. But I didn't feel like his comments were like that damaging that it would cause you to be like, nope, not letting Ricky Starks work, especially after Ricky Starks had already
come
had the
on.
booking.
Anybody fucking there's no way for that to look good or be justified either way.
Yeah,
you either don't believe it and he's just fucking with Ricky Starks. Cool. Or you're again showing maybe you're not fit to do this because you're letting childish fucking fits fuck with your wrestler who already set up an angle, who already, the way that promoters with their shit together over the years would have handled that. You say, okay, cool. You play it cool. You say, okay, cool. I got you. My guy already set up his angle. He made a commitment. He's going to go work his angle. He's going to go do his matches. And then you're done. And you just finesse it. You don't even get mad. There ain't even, okay. You know what I mean? Like, but instead, you go the other looking way around with a guy you've already fucked over for a year.
Yeah.
What do you think of Survivor Series?
Survivor Series is okay. Interesting for sure. Interesting, very interesting show. The women's War Games match did not start well at all, but it ended well. And that's
I was like, do I need to check myself? I'm like, am I losing my mind? Is everybody else seeing this? This is like fucking awful. the beginning of the match. Yeah. And then, man, once they all got in there, holy shit. I know we've, ad nauseum. Tiffany Stratton, man.
In many ways.
On another fucking world. Just on another fucking world. Like, I don't.
Yeah, she is.
Jesus. Fuck. It's like, again, I said it before. It's like you put Pac's ability inside of Trish Stratus. Like, it's fucking insane. Seeing her do the shit that she does and her complete, gives no fucks about taking whatever bumps or whatever weapons or taking whatever. It's fucking crazy. She's fucking crazy. Everybody in that thing, man, super, super talented. I just, God damn it. But yeah, shit show to start, but damn fine ending to that. It was fucking tremendous. The closeout. I wasn't huge on the, the one spot, the dual spot off the cage, just because everybody was like so obviously just waiting around for.
And
both of those bumps are like. This is kind of, the issue. Everybody gives AEW shit about it, but WWE is guilty as well. The desensitization and the not washed out, but like the what's the word I'm looking for? They desensitize people. It's those are two insane bumps, and like they should have gotten their own thing, and they should have been like a really big deal. You know what I mean? Yep. They both should have had their own segment in the match and been like a huge fucking deal. And instead, it's just like this movie stunt, circus thing where we're waiting around waiting for each other to do the shit at the same time, and they just kind of moved on from it. That was tough. Has anybody ever even? I know Jeff Hardy, he did like the whisper in the wind off the top, right? But
yeah,
has anybody ever done like a fucking swanton like that? Like that was fucking nuts. And it was like you barely even saw it because EO was Jeff doing the moonsault in the trash can, which is fucking insane.
Jeff Hardy has done a swanton off the cage. Funny enough, at Survivor Series 2001, through a table on the Dudley Boys. I remember that, and that was a bad fall. It cracked. His back cracked when he hit the damn table. But I do remember that. But typically, no, that's not a spot that happens very often. I'm not a fan of people jumping off of cages too much because people keep getting hurt when this happens. Luckily, no one in the women's match got hurt. But Shades of the Edge doing,
Yeah.
and fucking himself up, and not to jump too far ahead, but Bronson Reed ended up getting pretty hurt, and apparently he
Have
cannot walk right
some
now.
whipped
So,
ankles. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
yeah,
They did it.
but
They did the
but
fucking tsunami. They did this fucking tsunami off the top. No ring breaking situation, but
yeah, I was wondering how they were going to do it. I'll be honest, they did not make the bloodline look the new bloodline look very strong in that main event. They made one person in the new bloodline look very strong, and that was Jacob Fatu, and that is, I
which
mean,
goddamn right.
that guy is that's the man. That's the man right now to
One
me.
more. There was one detail that I would have loved to have added, that I would have suggested to add. Is there at the end, when they did 5-on-1 on Solo and they were
Yeah,
fucking beat. They should have had, even though they unloaded like a nuke on fucking Jacob Fatu. He should have been in the spot, like crawling to try and help. You know what I'm saying? Like Super
yeah,
Shredder at the end of the fucking movie. Like he's still trying to get up out of the rubble to help Solo. They should have had him crawling towards Solo, like trying to stop, and then all four, everybody who's not making the pin, all four of them have to jump on him and like rain down punches on him to stop him
yeah.
crawling to try and help Solo. Like that would have been the ultimate, like extra little detail on that finish, I think. But it was still really good. Good match.
Oh no, that to me that was, I guess, my favorite match of the night, maybe.
I would have thought that the triple threat would have been your favorite match.
So that's why I'm thinking. I'm like, I like personally, for me, the triple threat was awesome. That was, I mean, but like I expected it to be awesome. So maybe that's what I didn't expect very much from the OG bloodline versus the new bloodline, and then I ended up being like surprised that it entertained.
That boy Kaiser, man. Oh, Ludwig, he's one of them ones, man. He's
a talented.
I expect a big fucking year from him next year. Like he got all the mannerisms down. He has like the awareness during everything he's doing. That fan tried to reach out and touch him during his fucking entrance, and he like got out of the way and made that fucking face. It was so funny. Dude's fucking sick, like pretty slick on the mic. It's kind of limited what he does as far as his character on the mic, but like what he does really well. He has the fucking charisma. He's dope as in the ring. His fucking father was a long time fucking worker. Like, sky's the fucking limit, man.
He's great. I think as Braun Breaker, man, he's got it. Braun Breaker's got it, and that's
him
the thing.
Too. Obviously, I mean, we've waxed poetic about him many times.
So just watching those two and for all intents and purposes, younger guys go in there with a veteran like Sheamus and put on a Sheamus banger, as Sheamus would say. Like I expected it, so that's why I was like, it's probably it's the best match of the night overall, but because of the fact I think I expected it to be, it was just kind of like, hey, it lived up to my expectations, hey, and I didn't expect a lot from the other matches on the night too much, and I missed a bit of the Gunther and Damian Priest match, so I didn't get to see that. But I'm gonna ignore.
What do you think of this fucking Nakamura night situation?
I didn't even want to. I was trying to avoid. I love Shinsuke Nakamura. I have for years. I just am confused because I did not
all that time. You took all that time to finally put a belt on the most over man in the industry, and the fucking reign is over in 3 months. I just don't understand.
And I don't know what the plan is with Nakamura. Somebody did say that Penta is going to come in and dethrone him for the U.S. title, and that's why they did it instead of LA Knight. I don't know if that's the case. If that is the case, that'll be interesting. I know the one thing I will say about WWE right now is that there are way too many belts being brought in. Way too many belts. There's a women's U.S. title, women's Intercontinental title. We still got the U.S. title and Intercontinental title, obviously, in the men's division. It's just a lot of titles right now, and I don't like what's next for LA Knight after losing the belt. I think that's my concern, because he had all this momentum. He finally wins the belt. He's been performing well in his matches. He's been putting on really good matches. He's still an amazing promo. He hasn't faced any top tier guys though, and I think that's the issue. He hasn't faced any guys that can continue to legitimize what he's doing and push him further. It feels like they just kind of gave him the title run just to give him a title for a couple months to be like, hey, there you go. Thanks for getting over. Here's a belt to solidify. And it's not like one of our main belts. It's like a secondary belt. So I don't really know what the plan is going forward. Nakamura's champion is whatever. I mean, he kind of just came back and got into spotlight again. And then it's an interesting, and in the way he won, it was, I mean, pretty decisive win. So I don't see LA Knight coming back really for like a continuing the feud. So he's gonna move on, but I don't know what the future holds for LA Knight, and it's confusing. I thought LA Knight signed a contract extension, and it was like a lucrative contract. And so I'm like, why would I don't like what are your plans with him? Is he going to transition into the main event scene? Is he going to get involved with like a main event storyline? Like, are we pushing to get him to be one of the main guys that's going to be, that 5 or 6 top guys that they put in there in the mix to being like, hey, this guy's going to end up being one of the last 4 in the Royal Rumble. He's not going to win it, but he's going to be one of the last 4. So I don't know. I mean, it's a weird period for WWE right now because they're entering a time where they have a lot of things going for them, and they need
about to have a lot of things going for them.
Yeah, so they need to maximize the people that are over, the people LA Knight's still a top 10 merchandise seller. He's still super over. He's still has his catchphrases, and I don't know. I think there is going to be a time where he gets a world title shot at all. I don't know if I don't know what their plans are, and that's confusing because I would think with a guy like that, you want to give him the fans haven't turned on him like they tend to do some baby faces once they get to a certain point. So I don't know. I mean, they got Saturday Night Main Event coming up. They got Raw on Netflix, which obviously the Raw on Netflix is when we'll probably see The Rock make his return, unless he shows up at Saturday Night Main Event. I guess I should have been aware that The Rock was not going to show up in fucking Vancouver of all places on the Survivor Series. He's like, if he had to make a choice, he's going to show up in either LA for the Raw Netflix Raw, and it is confusing though because somebody said Rock showed up when Cody and Roman were together, but he didn't show up when the Roman and the OG bloodline and new bloodline thing was going on. So he's coming for Cody. I hope that's not the case, and I hope we get Rock versus Roman at WrestleMania. I believe that is still the plan. I do think Rock is actually going to wrestle at Royal Rumble, and I think we could see Cody versus Rock at the Royal Rumble. However that turns out, we'll see. But yeah, I think LA Knight, they got to make sure he doesn't lose too much more momentum, and that he at least starts to rack up some wins. So we'll see how it goes. But I was confused at that result, and I wasn't really happy with the result. Honestly, I wanted to see LA Knight get I think Nakamura would have been one of his bigger wins as U.S. champion. So yeah.
Well, speaking of yeah, we are back. It was a lovely holiday week, Thanksgiving. So couldn't get all the fellas together. We did put out one thing kind of over there on United Football Media. UFL announced that they were expanding, which is everybody's favorite subject to discuss here online. So I was on the United Football Media YouTube page with one of their guys talking about UFL expansion. If that's your bag, go check that out over there on that page. We'll be back. We should be back with the full schedule this week. Hoops, football, college football. Obviously, things are getting very, very interesting here, coming down to the wire. So that'll be a very interesting thing to discuss. So that'll all be coming up this week. True still has Soul Revival 6 rocking and rolling out there.
Yes, sir. My my most streamed album in 2 years right now. So
Oh,
that is is doing some good numbers. So definitely appreciate that. I mean, and it's my most streamed album in 2 years, meaning it outstreamed other albums I released in the last 2 years, which I find it I mean interesting. But yeah, so it's did that in the last 2 weeks. So very
excellent stuff.
yeah, a lot of feedback, a lot of great feedback on the album. Um, yeah, that yeah, I'm just and there also I gotta mention Apollo, Pegs and Shaggy put out their PSA 2. That's out too as well, so you can go to Shaggy's Apollo's Spotify, Apple Music, wherever, and you can listen to that. There's like 11 songs on there, and they actually just did that pretty much the last week or two. So they recorded over the last week or two, and they just put it out. So me and Apollo got some stuff we were planning on working on this upcoming week. So see how it all goes.
And of course, the Medium site, as always, crushing it.
Yes.
I would suggest all of you. We ran out of time, so we didn't do too much of it. We'll probably do it on the next week of wrestling, since there will probably be an update. Encourage all of you to check out the article, 10 Years of Positivity, The New Day. Reflect back on what a prolific thing the New Day has been in everyone's lives for the last 10 years, and all the ups and downs and all the amazing moments that have come and gone. Definitely check out that article on the Medium site, as well as all the other stuff. All of our talented writers doing an amazing job over there, aren't they?
Yes. We just finished our largest month again, and we keep outdoing every month. Hoping for December to be the same. And shout out to Tev, shout out to Scotland, shout out to David, shout out to everybody, shout out to Zach, shout out to all the writers. They got some stuff coming. Of course, I try to keep daily content myself, just kind of pumping out article after article. We are at a point now we're doing tens of thousands of views a month. So really excited about what's to come for the Medium site, and I fully believe that now you will see us in much different spaces soon. Shout out to some of my guys who went to WrestleCade. Actually, while we're talking wrestling, they went to WrestleCade this weekend. I was trying to make it myself down there, could not make it, but they went down there. They made a lot of friends, met a lot of familiar faces in this business, and so maybe next year at WrestleCade, you'll see the whole team there working media. Maybe for a couple wrestling conventions soon, you'll see us there doing some media work. So, just stay tuned. There's a lot on tap for the team right now, but it all starts with the Medium site. The Medium site is doing a hell of a job, getting us out there, getting the name out there. So, it's got to make sure to translate everywhere else.
As you can see, since there's so much on deck for everybody, between the music, between the pods, between the Medium site, faces in places, and that is because the world of DAR never stops.